All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my conversation about what I'm looking for as you write an essay. This is a very quick and easy, and I hope a very clear explanation as to how to make a good grade. So you have all been given a rubric. The rubric looks the same all year long. We are looking for a purpose and answer, your organization, the elaboration, analysis, and your conventions. This is a checklist for you so that you can see what I'm looking for and be able to produce that on a paper. So I also have set up here an example of a paper. It says, name one suspenseful excerpt or part in the short story The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs, and explain why it is suspenseful. The first thing I ask for in your rubric is your purpose. What is this paper about? And so we look back at our prompt, name a suspenseful excerpt in the story, and the key word here is suspense. This is what we're looking for. This is our purpose. We are writing about suspense. We are going to use the short story The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs, and here's another key. Explain why it is suspenseful. People forget that part. So you have your rubric, you've established your purpose, we've looked at our prompt. We also have a couple of other things I want to talk to you. Number one, this is a short story. A lot of people put novel. Also, you're given some other clues. Short stories are in quotes. We have everything spelled correctly, and you have the author of that short story. Use all your possible resources to get your best grade. So let's go back to our rubric, the purpose. We want this purpose to be clear. This right here is going to get you a 75 if you make straight twos. That is a C. It is a solid C, and you have the capability of moving that up or down based on whether you answer or do the correct things. So I've already written a prompt. We're going to look at it a little bit at a time using the rubric, and here is our first sentence or two. This was meant to be your purpose. I'm going to pull out a highlighter here, if it'll pop up, and don't think I'm going to wait on that. So we'll just use the pens. It says, suspense is an effective technique authors use in their pieces to gain the attention of the reader and to keep them on the edge of their seat. Notice my purpose, the reason I'm writing this, the what of this paper, is suspense. And so I've listed that. But notice what I haven't put in there. I have not put the author's name, the title. We're only talking about suspense. When you're writing this type of academic piece, you are looking for the big picture first. It's like a triangle. You're going to start out with suspense, then you're going to narrow it down as we go through. Suspense is an effective technique authors use in their pieces to gain the attention of the reader and keep them on the edge of their seat. Suspense creates anxiety. This is what this paper is about. When you're looking at this, you can see that this is clear. In fact, if I got this type of paper, noticing that we have suspense is an effective technique, and we have a second sentence here that backs it up saying something different. We have two sentences. They're both, the first one especially is well written and tells what it does. It gains the attention, keeps them on their edge of their seat, and then we have the word anxiety. This would have given the writer is clear, it's unique, and it's obvious. So that would have given them a 3. Our next sentence, we'll pull this down a little bit. In the short story, The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs, there are many suspenseful moods created by the author. Again, we have now narrowed this down in our triangle. We said it's suspense. Now we're saying we're talking about this particular story and why it is suspenseful. So this is the topic or the purpose. We've got this story. And look at what you did. Going back to the rubric here, in organization, we've mentioned the author's name, check. We've mentioned the text, check. And we are going to mention a specific citation, but not yet. So we've already got part of this. You get a 3 if you get the author's name, the text, and the citation used correctly. So in the short story The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs, there are many suspenseful moods, but we only had to find one excerpt created by the author. Ooh, look, one of the most suspenseful parts is toward the end of the story. See how we're getting more and more narrow here? We're narrowing down our thoughts. We've talked about the purpose, suspense. We've named the story. We've said, hey, one is, and I'm getting ready to get an example. One of the most suspenseful parts is toward the end of the story. Mrs. White has given up hope that the second wish her husband made for the return of their son is going to come true. Notice, this is a little bit of a summary, but it is one sentence. A lot of times my students will rewrite the entire story. W.W. Jacobs has already done an excellent job at writing the story. We don't need a summary. This is about an excerpt that is suspenseful. Now we need to talk about why. So we've mentioned this, that it's toward the end, and look at what I did next. So she hopes that this is going to come true. She's made the realization that it's not going to come true. She's gone to bed deeply saddened. Miss White has given up hope. She has gone back to bed deeply saddened. So a little bit more summary. Then Mrs. White sat up in bed listening. A loud knock resounding through the house. Notice only last name and page number are listed here. I've given credit to W.W. Jacobs. Now I can go back to my rubric. Let's revisit. We've got all this information. We're going here. Did I have a citation? Yes. Is it correct? Because that's where a lot of people lose this point, and they go here because I circle this because it was not done correctly. This is correct. Let's look at it. We've got the ellipse. I've copied from a book, or text in this case, our short story. The ellipse said I started in the middle of a sentence. We have everything here. Notice my period is here. It is not here. That's another common mistake. I've only listed the author's last name and the page number. So yes, I'm getting a 3 here. Let's go back. We established the purpose. It's about suspense. The answer. What is the answer? Well, we've got one. Oops, sorry. That's our wrong one. It is the most suspenseful part is toward the end. I've told you where it is. We have an answer there. I'd say that is clear. So that's a 2. We've got our organization. We already talked about author's name. We've talked about the text and the fact that it's done correctly. That gives you a 3. So now we are going to see an elevation besides just an average all the way down 2s. So let's look. Next we're going to try and elaborate. This is the why was it suspenseful? So let's go back to our text. This particular part of the story was the most suspenseful part because, and so you've got this information here. I'm telling you why. And I'm going to move this into blue because this is probably where students miss the most. This particular part of the story was the most suspenseful part because of the anxiety, nice word, the author creates in the reader. Why is this anxiety? Because the readers find themselves reading faster to see what happens and might even find themselves holding their breath. So why is this suspenseful? Because you're reading faster. They are holding their breath as they finish the story. Readers are interested in finding out what happens at the end of the story, and the suspense propels them to read on. So let's see if we need to stop there. Yes. So, did I explain why this was suspenseful? Yes, I did a pretty good job. I'm going to give this paper a 2 because what I would have liked to have seen is some additional thoughts from the text. And then I'm just going to put from text here. This is where people truly miss it. They end up getting that 1 because I know they tried to do it, but they really didn't go into telling me why. Let's go back to our paper. Individuals interested in a wonderfully suspenseful story should consider reading The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs. There we kind of have a nice final part. This is kind of our conclusion. It wraps up everything, and you have the entire piece. So you have hey, we narrowed it down to one piece, we've done everything, you've got to your point, and you're moving on. This is not a long essay. Let's go back here and look. We have a purpose, the suspense, the what is this piece about, the answer, hey, I know one particular excerpt, the organization, this should be gimme points. The list of the author's name, the text, and the quote. And this is an easy way to get that level 3. Elaboration and analysis, this is the why of the piece. Why is it suspenseful? You are using a specific example and you are telling why. So you've got your answer, and then why is this suspenseful? And conventions. At this point, my students should know how to capitalize letters. So I see a lot of problems with capital letters. Please do not use the word you in an academic response. Use words like readers, individuals. Those kind of words that are inclusive, not specific yous. Capital letters, the word you. I don't want to see things like I think. Again, this is an academic paper. It will make your paper stronger if you do not look for this. So we're looking for strong conventions with no grammar, no capitalization, no spelling mistakes. Those kind of things will move you instantly from a level 3 to this level 2. So please, if you see you on your paper, I think, capital letters, those are the problems that I see recurring over and over. So very few, if any, convention mistakes. Here we have a level 3 here. Let's look at what this adds up to. I told you early on that if you got all 2s, that would have given you a 75. So here you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. If you get 10 points, that gives you a 75. Now, we have a 3 here for our purpose, so I'm going to add 5 points there, and now we're up to an 80. I got a 3 here for organization. That should be a gimme. That puts us up to an 85. And I got a 3 because I had strong conventions. There were very few, if any, grammar, capitalization, and so you add 5 there, and that gives you a 90. And that is a great paper. At this point, you can come back and ask me, hey, how could I make my answer a level 3? How could I go in and make that analysis of why this has a strong suspenseful mood, a suspenseful point in the story, and look at those kind of things to increase here and here. Sometimes I do add 5 for style, just because your paper caught my attention, so those are just points that I have that I can give out when your paper catches my attention. I hope this was helpful, and you can use this to refer back to if you need to. Please come and ask me if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.